Today we're going to concentrate on is kind of a little peek into some of what BIM technology is doing to change the home building industry. Some of you probably have a little exposure to it already. You've heard of Autodesk Revit or seen ArchiCAD or another tool set. But I kind of want to start with a little bit from the basics. So we're going to talk about what exactly is BIM, what technology is driving that. Can you use that and leverage that to estimate a little smarter and maybe automate some of the stuff that you're doing now a little more manually, or you're doing now manually, we can automate that. Then also just enhance the customer experience. There's a lot of different things that are byproducts of BIM that can enhance what you're doing, but also what the customer experience when they're buying a home from you. A little bit about BuilderMT. We're the leader in technology for home builders. Personally, I believe so in the US, Australia, and New Zealand. It was actually founded and originated in Australia. Graham Price is one of our original founders who wrote the original code, the first module for BuilderMT that was meant to start off with the purchasing side of it. And then we were recently purchased by Mytech, which is a US-based company, a division of Berkshire Hathaway. And we've continued to develop the product and expand it to include from the original sales and CRM, which you'll see again here in a couple of weeks, all the way through purchasing and accounting, and then finally down to warranty. So we want to manage the home from its original inception, where you create it, the buyer finds it, all the way, as they say proverbially, to the grave itself when we're done with it through final warranty. Now, if I kind of narrow this down into 5 quick steps, with some of the things we've gone through today, we're going to concentrate today on step 1, the plans and estimating side. You're familiar with a lot of 2D takeoff stuff that you've done. We're going to talk about how to leverage BIM in the 3D world to get some of the estimating done. We're going to then peek a little bit into the customer experience. Some of the things that we're doing in the original purchasing and estimating side and leveraging that out to the buyer so that they can make selections online and get a bit more emotional investment in their home. And then production, business intelligence or BI tools, so it's reporting dashboards, and like we said before, down to warranty. So let's talk a little bit about what is BIM itself. Building information modeling. Now everyone has probably their own definition. This is the one that came from Wikipedia that I've used before, but generally speaking, what you're familiar with now is 2D line work. So 2 parallel lines give you a representation of where the wall should be. An angle or swoop with 2 other lines is a door, but that's just a representation of the door. If we go into a little more 3D, we do an elevation of such. It's once again, it's line work. But I'm sure anybody and everybody that's been on this call has been out with a customer to a job site where they said, well, that's not quite what I thought it was going to look like. Because a majority of people cannot translate the 2D pictures into a 3D in their mind of what it's going to look like. Now, this is a better representation for your buyer, for your customer. They can see it, they can visualize it. They're not having to fill in the blanks of the 3D side of it from the 2D that we're familiar with. But then this is what we need on the purchasing side. We need the quantities, we need the counts. I need to know exactly what type of lumber, I know exactly what type of timbers to order for this one. Do I need concrete? Do I need this studs? What are what I call the blocking and tackling of what it takes to build a house? Well, in the BIM world, rather than just using a representation of line work that this 2 parallel lines could be a wall, we actually draw a wall. It knows how it's built. Is there siding on one side? Is there gyprock on sheetrock on the other side? That's a window. It's not a representation of window. It's a certain size. Does it have muttons in it or not? And then down to the structure itself. If you're using Revit models right now, we can transfer these into Mytech shops. They can trust these and hand them back to you. We have tools that you can frame all the discrete members directly in the Revit model. And then we're starting to count the exact timbers that are going to go into that house. We're not going to do a guess and use a formula to get there. Now, estimating smarter. There are lots and lots of different tools and different ways to get to a full takeoff. You guys are familiar with PlanSwift. Greg will talk about Qubit at some time or other, what we're doing, which is another MyTech company. And then you've got Sage Estimating. Sage Estimating used a different tracing tool, and you got your measurements, and you use the assemblies in Sage Estimating to get to a final product. Well, if we're going to put all this information into a BIM model, create the correct walls, we know how they're framed, we know what timbers are in there, why don't we just collect that information? We can collect the discrete timbers and optimize those. Or we can take the measurement from the wall for the exterior wall, and I can use a formula that you're already familiar with in your current estimating process. All I'm doing right now is we're harvesting from that BIM model rather than doing manual measurements. But you can also, with a MyTech Material Manager, and then collect key measures from almost anywhere else. So if you have something that you've done previously, or there are additional pieces that need to go onto it, you can have it in the template itself in the Material Manager, or we can pull in that data from Excel and combine multiple sources to create that takeoff. What we end up here is what we call collected data. This comes from the model, it comes from the spreadsheet, it comes from manual entry, wherever we had it in there. We're going to choose whether we publish that out to a model or a job, and then we choose what job is available to publish that data to. Using your setup and your formulas, we take that collected data and pass through, and my favorite analogy is the pachinko machine. If you're familiar with the pachinko machine, it comes in, the data comes in and says, is it a wall type? If it is, what type is it? Go here to framing, go here to studs. What's the height of that wall? And based on the height of the wall, use this formula to get to the actual timbers that I need for framing that wall. I have the length of the wall, I have the height, and now I can translate that into timbers. That then just becomes an item, because inside of BuilderMT or WMS, you have your master item list, and you drag and drop your items onto your formula to get that resultant. And that resultant is what we refer to as the final rollout or BOM, the bill of materials. This BOM is what we're going to push into a job or into our models and options manager inside of WMS. Now, some of the other byproducts that you get from your BIM is that rendering, is the models, is the options, are the details. But we want to expand on some of that byproduct. We're going to let our sales system drive a better customer experience. I've modeled it. I've come up with the idea. I have a portfolio of plans that I want to make available to my buyers. And I want them to sit at home at night and spend time making an emotional engagement with my company and with the homes that we've designed. We do have, I'm going to highlight just a couple things here. This tool is driven from the sales system. So sales simplicity, you invest the time in the ecosystem, and we build models and options. Those are pushed into the sales system. Just like BIM for the purchasing and buyer solution, we add more information in the sales front end and a picture and a better description to go on the website. And then we just publish directly from the sales system out to your website. We have created a little BuilderMT Homes kind of fake company, and you'll see that in a lot of our demo sets that we're doing is the BuilderMT Homes. And we do have we have a builder right now that does reserve now and buy now. And what I mean by that is if you're drawing in a community, or if you're doing what we refer to as scatter lot or lot specific, build on your lot, they can fill in their lot information, or from a community itself, they can come in here and find one that's available, excuse me, and they can buy it now. So just by presenting a lot that's available, oh, that one got sold. So presenting a lot that's available to the customer, I can choose it. This is the one that I want. I want to put money down on it right now. I want to fill in my information. If I'm approved for a mortgage already, yes. Upload my pre-qualification letter. Do we have a co-buyer or not? Yes. we're capturing information from our sales system. This automatically changes the status of that lot, and then we can draft it directly out of their account. They just want to pay for it, we can draft it directly out of their account. Now let's go back to where I was before and talk a little bit about getting that emotional investment. You can present this online as a pre-sales or as a post-sales. So if I come in and just select a subdivision in my single-family homes, here's my available plan set. If I want to, I can pop into a 360 view. So we are currently linking panoramic files or this view so that a customer can have an even more immersive environment to see, and they can click through and join to other rooms. We're connecting this with your design center. So a customer was able to click on a countertop and make a change and see it real time live in this immersive experience. But I can just also show me some image of that. These images are once again what's in your sales system that's presented out to your website. Let's not invest the time in doing a sales system and doing purchasing and paying for a website development company to enter the same data in all 3 or 4 or 5 different places. Let's invest it in one place and use it up and down through the ecosystem. I'm going to select this Asbury plane, and I've not created an account yet, and Greg gets to get picked on. So I'm going to add Greg in as a user, and you can pop this up to happen at any time. So we want to start to capture information. Yes, you're more than welcome to come onto our website and you can view your house, but we want to make sure we know who we're talking to. Oh, that's funny. Greg's already in here. So I'm showing my site map here. As I said before, you can do on your lot, asking for the customer to fill in information, lat long or lot block area description of where that's going to be. I'm going to pick a lot that's out here, it's available. And I want to put a home on lot 81 in my community. I've done this one flat down, as in you can do this where a customer just picks an elevation. You can do it as an interactive floor plan where live 2D top down, they can swap them out, or you can go fully immersive with the 3D. There's also a rating system. So just a star rating, if you guys have bought anything online, majority of websites now have this option out here, is I want to do elevation. Let's tell you what, let's do elevation B and call it a 4-star and say I love this one. And you also see that mine is turned on where I start to add price. So as my customer is making selections, it's adding up their price and their choices to the side. If I came in and let's do the attributes. These are the attributes that are in the sales system. I picked my pedestal for a washer, but I haven't chosen a washer yet. So it enacts the rules that are in Sales Simplicity and says pick your washer. We've now chosen that washer. Let's go down to our cabinets. Let's pop into the kitchen and let's do the maple cabinets. And once again, you're seeing it add up my items here so that I, as a consumer, know exactly when I'm adding options onto my house. You can choose to show this or not show this, either pre or post contract. So when I submit for review, what I've done is I've leveraged my sales system, I've presented it online, I've allowed my customer to sit at home at night and make those selections. Current studies show us that if a customer is allowed to make their design center selections online, they generally spend 30% more than they would have if they came into a design center to make those selections. Let them play around. We'll save this in multiple scenarios. You'll see that I've named a scenario here. And when we show you the sales and CRM system next week, or in 2 weeks, we will pop into Greg's account that I just created, and you'll see these selections that have already been made so we can drive that to contract. I can generate my own custom pamphlet. Everybody likes to brag about what a wonderful designer they are and the choices they've made for their house. So you can brand this or put a wrapper around it with your company information and let the customer take a PDF home or download the PDF or post it to Facebook or send it to mom and dad so that they can approve the deposit they're going to have to put down for their children on their new house. I can go back and edit my selections. I can copy and move forward. So hopefully that was fairly clear. As I said before, what we've generally found so far is there's up to 30% or more higher in option selections if you're allowing the buyers to make their selections at home on their own. So let's talk about a little bit other what I'll call byproducts of BIM technology. You can link those designs directly to estimates. The plugin for Revit harvests off those model measurements so that we can use those or the discrete items that you've drawn or put with Revit families. Your custom design or portfolio management, there are design options that are good basic on-off options inside of Revit, but you can also sit with a customer and make some changes. If they want to reconfigure the house, if they want to move around something, push and pull, if you have a good power user on Revit, they can sit with the customer and look at that house in a 3D model. Make a change, push out a bedroom, move a roof line, spin around. And we showed you kind of the basics, we'll call the introduction of doing their color selections online, rather than having to come into a design center. So I know it was kind of a quick overview, and we just wanted to do a very high level kind of touch on some of the stuff that's out there. We talked about what's BIM, some of the technology that's there. Revit specifically is one of the ones that we've been concentrating on. Estimating a little smarter, automating what you're doing, taking out some of those manual things that you're doing now with measuring, and with a BIM model and better data in that model, we're eliminating hours, if not days, worth of manual measurement time, and then improving that customer experience. We want your buyers engaged with your company, spending more time on your website and more time investing in the design of your home so that they buy from you and not your competition.